So glad you're with us on Texas Wealth Report. Brad Johansson with Summer Roberts, Impact Partners Financial. How are you today, my friend?
I'm here today with you.
You're just here. Sometimes we have those days where we're just here. You know what? We're going to make it impactful, though, because once we're here, we got to make it good for you. And the idea is to make it a retirement that's going to last for you. We're going to talk about some of the top financial questions as we move through, because a lot of you ask those questions at the event Summer has all throughout the community. If you want to get those, you go to the website and say, you know what, I'd like to attend one of those. Or maybe you want to make a phone call to say, I'd like to be a part of this. Some of the people who have been watching for a long time, and they've got a lot of questions, but they're afraid to ask some of the questions. Let's go into some of the questions that maybe some of the common client concerns that we have. Right now, people are worried about the stability of the economy. We've had this for a Social Security question for a lot of years, when the belief is that Social Security is going to become insolvent in 2031 or 2032 or 2033. Or when is it going to be? Because the answer changes with the government. We know that we're more than $36 trillion in debt with the government right now. Talk to me about the security of Social Security, or maybe the insecurity of Social Security right now, and what we should be banking on. Because I think a lot of people, when they feel insecure about it, go, well, I'll take mine while I can get it. If I turn 62 and I don't know whether this thing's going to last, I'm just going to take it, whether that costs me a lot of money or not. Take me into what your feelings are about Social Security as we stand right now.
Well, the issue with taking it earlier is you get a smaller amount, right? So if it is indeed reduced, it will be reduced by a certain percentage, right? So if you start with a smaller amount, or you wait a few years and get a bigger amount, if they do reduce the amounts, you will still have less money here. So you may as well wait a few years and get cut off on a larger amount of money, right?
Do you work on strategies for people with Social Security coming in? Is that part of the plan?
We always work on Social Security. I mean, I tell people, you are the one that's put in your entire life. So we want to make sure to get as much out of it as possible. I even joke with my clients that I want you to get as much out as possible, because I may never see mine. So I want you to at least enjoy.
Because there's so many questions about the plan. There
are. But I will tell you one thing. I understand the insecurity about Social Security. And people are not wrong for being worried about it. But what I will say is that there are plenty of things that they can do, that Congress can do, to continue to keep Social Security solvent for a longer time period, all of which they've done before. So they know work, right? So there are at least 5 or 6 things they've done before to kick that can down the road a little bit longer, right? So they can do that. So, I mean, and look, let's be honest. What's a politician's number one job? I'm going to get in trouble for saying this.
Don't get in trouble.
Re-election, right?
Oh,
they want to be reelected.
Yeah.
And so do you really honestly, just common sense, do you really believe that a politician who's going to support reducing Social Security is going to be reelected?
They don't think they are, which means they're going to have to come up with a solution.
They have to come up with a solution. That is such a huge voter base. And those people go out and they vote. So that is political suicide, in my opinion. So they're going to figure it out.
Social Security is part of our guaranteed, with the insecurity that is, guaranteed income moving forward into retirement. So in trying to figure that out, if we have insecurity, this brings up one of the questions that a lot of people will ask is, okay, since I don't have this and I don't know, I've got to stay in the market. And the question is, could I be taking too much risk by staying in the market this close to retirement?
And I would say the answer is different for everyone, Brad, because every single person is different. Because at the end of the day, look, no one can really define what the term risk is, right? Risk means something different for everyone. And there's no hard and fast rule. The financial world likes to pretend like there are hard and fast rules when it comes to taking risk, like, well, you're younger, you should be more aggressive, or you're getting closer to retirement, you should be more conservative. But the truth of the matter is that there is no hard and fast rule when it comes to that. It could be completely flip-flopped. But what we want to focus on more so than how much risk you can tolerate is how much risk can your plan withstand, right? So if we experience, let's say, another 2008, how's your plan going to look? Is it going to continue to make sure that you have income you can't outlive? Is it going to make sure that your potential higher taxes in the future are covered? Is it going to make sure that healthcare costs and long-term care costs are? Those are the important questions, and that's what ultimately determines the risk that you should be at.
Okay. People talk about fees. How much am I spending? Hidden fees, where am I going? For a lot of people going to an advisor, they say, I can probably just do it well on my own. Well, how many times have you retired? Hopefully just once. How many times has Summer worked with somebody who's retired? Hundreds and hundreds of times. Maybe going to the expert is the thing that you want to do, which brings up the question, what fees am I paying? What do I pay my advisor? And what am I paying within my portfolio? I'll let you cover both of those.
What we find is that most people don't know. They think they know, but when we run the fee analysis, most people are floored by it. Had a gentleman I met with just a few weeks ago, kept adamantly telling me that he only had a 1% fee. He only paid a 1% fee, and he was 100% sure of it. And I said, great, I hope you're right.
A 1% fee with the advisor that he was working with at the time?
Correct,
okay.
Correct. So I said, okay, well, we're gonna run the risk and fee analysis, right? So we'll see, we'll go over it. For the first time ever, you are going to fully understand how much in fees you're paying exactly. If it's 1%, it's 1%. If it's more, it's more. We ran our risk and fee analysis. He was correct. He was paying the advisor a 1% management fee. But what he did not account for was the 12B1 fees and the mutual funds, the commissions paid, the fees paid, all of those added up ended up being an additional 2.85%. So the reality was that he was paying 2.85% in fees plus the 1% management fee.
He's losing about 4% of his fees. That's a bad 4% rule if you're trying to get your money managed right. Right.
Well, but the thing that is so incredibly frustrating is that these people, they don't know, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's not like they should have known. They should have been told. They should have been more transparent. At our firm, we are very transparent with our fees. We tell people up front exactly what the fees are.
Okay, so what's the difference between somebody who's paying a 1% fee with an advisor with another almost 3% fees of hidden fees within that program, because that's what the advisor is selling under their company?
Correct.
What's the difference in moving to fiduciary? How do you drastically take those fees down?
Well, number one, because we're independent and we're fiduciaries, that's what I always say. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox, right? We can basically use whatever tool is necessary to set up whatever strategy, right? So with that said, that means that we're not, as a fiduciary, we have to do what's in the client's best interest first and foremost. That means we're not doing what's in Impact's best interest first and foremost, right? That, whatever the fee is, it is what it is. We focus on the strategy and the plan, And then whatever the fees are, we disclose those to the people. But we are constantly able to look at fees and make a dramatic difference on people because we're very transparent about it too. And they see them exactly as they are. No hidden fees, no surprises. Thing I hate the most is surprises.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the things that you hate the most. So why don't you have a second opinion? Because if you're dealing with someone and you don't know what the fees are, but you're sure that it's only this, why wouldn't you want a second opinion, especially when the second opinion is free? So come in for a complimentary Texas Wealth Report. You can call the number on your screen, 866-254-8026, or you can scan the QR code to be able to come in and find out what you're paying in your portfolio. Find out whether or not that portfolio contains a plan for your money to go into retirement and make sure it stays till the end of your retirement. That's what a fiduciary does. That's what Summer and her team do every single day. Come in for your Texas Wealth Report, call the number, scan the code, let's put it together, and then you'll know exactly what you're paying and whether or not the plan is going to work. More questions from you when we return.
So Tom came to me with a stack of investment statements, thinking this was his retirement plan. I told him, Tom, this is a portfolio, not a plan. Retirement is like a puzzle with pieces like tax planning, investment planning, risk management, estate or legacy planning, healthcare planning, Medicare, Social Security, income planning, and so much more. Independent firms like ours specialize in putting together your retirement puzzle into a comprehensive plan. We don't just focus on one piece. We make sure all the pieces fit together perfectly to shape your financial future. So follow us for the latest insights and updates, or click the link below to schedule a no obligation consultation. Your future is too important to leave to chance.
Glad you're with us on the Texas Wealth Report. Brad Johansson, Summer Roberts, Impact Partners Financial. We're answering some of your questions about how to be and stay retirement ready and make sure that money lasts throughout. That's actually one of the questions that we have, which usually relates to taxes because you haven't been told anything about how taxes play into it. Well, that's why Summer has put together a tax calculator. So I'm going to put this together, show it for you. This is where you go on a website, impacttaxbill.com. Scan the QR code. What do you find in that? Well, you simply put in your email address. You put in what your tax bracket is. You put in what you want to earn during that time. And then it will give you an output of how much IRS wants from you and how much a strategic plan will work for you. Go to this. We'll have this up as people continue to ask the questions of, do I have enough income to last my whole retirement? This is part of chapter 3 of your book. This is the book that I haven't mentioned at all. Retire with Impact. It's yours upon an appointment as well. And all of these answers come within the book. Do I have enough income to last? How am I supposed to know whether or not I have enough income to last my retirement, Summer?
That's the $1 million question.
Or more. Yeah.
Maybe more. No, that is the question we are asked the most. Have I saved enough? Did I save enough? Did I do well enough? Do I have enough? And that is why we have what we call our 4-step process, right? So it's all part of the Texas Wealth Report.
All right, give me the 4-step process.
We take them through the 4 steps. Step 1 is we have to have a baseline. So we start with a current portfolio analysis. We just want to meet you where you are. Run an analysis, see where you are. Step 2 is we want to nail down your income first. Can't retire if you don't have income. So we want to nail down that income. The 3-legged stool comes into play there. So we want to make sure that you have income that you can't outlive and that increases over time for inflation. Step 2 is, do you know your risk? Is your risk, what we found is that when it comes to risk, what risk people want to be at and where their portfolio is sometimes are off balance, right? And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that those match up. So we'll take a look at that in step 3, and then step 4 is plan now for future taxes. So running the tax analysis, looking at tax conversions, looking at all of that. So the whole process, the 4-step process, is set up in a way to answer the ultimate question of, do I have enough to sustain me for the rest of my life? There was a couple I met with years ago. I'm pretty sure I wrote about them in the book. But I remember Kevin and Michelle, they came to see me. His goal was he wanted to retire in 3 years when he was 67. And I remember the conversation because he said, I've worked hard for so long, I'm ready to retire, but the goal is to retire at 67, but honestly, I'll probably just have to work till I'm 70. And I remember Michelle looked at me and she said, I don't want him to work till he's 70. And I said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's take you through the process. Let's go step by step by step. We took them through the process. And in the end, we were able to show them a plan where we were able to get Kevin retired at 67, just like he wanted. So now, that made it a lot easier for Kevin to go to work every day, right? Knowing that, okay, if I really want to, I can retire at 67. So, it takes the what ifs out of it, and it makes retiring a lot easier when you have that picture in black and white, and you don't have some broker out there just telling you, oh, don't worry, markets go up and down and you'll be all right. No, we want a plan. We want concrete evidence. We want that backed up. We want to know. People want peace of mind.
Heck yeah, they do. All right. Let's go into the next one, which is asked, what happens to my family when something happens to me? Pretty broad question. Mm-hmm. But this is what we're dealing with. And we can throw stats out there all the time because the stats continue to change. Look, we're living longer. Women are living longer than men. That's been a static.
Yeah.
Although women are living longer than men more so than not. But now we're understanding that with couples, 65 or older, 7 out of 10 of them mm-hmm. are going to require some form of long-term health care.
Right.
Here's the other stats. It's now on average for most, if you have to have that, it's $10,000 a month at a minimum. That might be for a semi-private room. The numbers are big, and if you haven't planned for that, that goes to the question, what happens to my family if something happens to me? How do you plan for that?
Yeah, well, we always have to go by the old saying, right? Plan for the worst, but pray for the best, mm-hmm. right? So with those type of statistics, we know the chances of you needing long-term care are very, very high. And so there are a few ways that we can look at providing long-term care, because you're right, it's very expensive. And that's now. What about 10, 20, 30 years down the road?
Right.
How much more is it going to be? So we need to make sure to get that covered. And there's a few different ways. Number one, you can get traditional long-term care insurance, which if you find a good policy, then it's not a bad idea, right? But what a lot of people say to me is that it's expensive, Summer. It's expensive. And I know, I've seen the policies. They are pricey, I get it. And what if you pay for it for 30 years and you just peacefully die in your sleep?
Well, if it's long-term care and traditional, you lose all of that money. Aren't there better solutions now than what old long-term care provided?
Yeah. There are strategies that we can use where we can lump it into a different strategy, where maybe it's inside of a 7702 plan, or maybe it's inside of some type of annuity or insurance product where if you need the money, there it is, it's there for you to use. But if you never ever utilize that money and you don't need it for long-term care, then there's still a death benefit for your family. So your family still gets that money and not some insurance company, right? So it's a really good way to kind of get around the downfalls of a traditional long-term care.
All right.
Yeah.
More of your questions when we continue, but right now you may have had a question that says, you know what, now's my time. I've watched the program for a while. I've hesitated to call. I still have questions, but I'm a little embarrassed. I'm a little ashamed. I haven't put my plan together. It's getting late. I don't want to share all of this stuff with someone, but you do want to find someone you trust. That's why Summer's here and her team are there, because there are no bad questions. Simply waiting is the wrong answer. So come in for a complimentary Texas Wealth Report to cover all of your questions, to answer the things that you may have been wanting to ask for a long time. And now you just want to know whether or not you can retire and the money is going to last. Make the call, 866-254-8026, or scan the QR code. Come in for a complimentary plan. Isn't it time for a second opinion? The Texas Wealth Report returns after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Only have a few minutes left at the Texas Wealth Report. Brad Johansson, Summer Roberts, Impact Partners Financial, and we're answering some of your questions, and there are a lot of them, and there will be more. I want to continue to put up impacttaxbill.com because it is part of your plan. What you need to understand is that taxes are always going to be part of your plan. How do we get the IRS out of your pocket? Go to the website, scan the QR code with a couple more questions that take us into, one of the questions is, how do I know my portfolio is tax efficient or not? This will help you with that. Mm-hmm. Let's get into a couple of the rules because we don't have a lot of time to finish up. What's the rule of 100 that people are asking about?
The rule of 100 is basically, let's call it a guideline, not a rule. It's not a hard and fast rule, but more of a guideline. But it basically is a very simplistic way of helping you to figure out how much risk you should be at, right? So the idea is that you take 100 minus your age, and the number left over is how much risk, right? So if we have a 60-year-old, 100 minus 60 leaves 40. So 40% at max, 40% of their money should be at risk. The other 60% should be more conservative, more safe.
Okay. Rule of 72 that people ask about.
So the rule of 72 is a rule because it's math. But the rule of 72 just basically helps you to figure out when your money will double, right? So if you take 72 divided by, let's say you're averaging 7%, right? So 72 divided by 7, it's going to take you about 10 years at that rate to double that money. So that's a hard and fast math rule. It's something that is used consistently, but it's a good gauge, especially when you're looking out from retirement. You know, we help people across the spectrum, Brad. You know, whether you're already retired, whether you're a few years out from retirement, or whether you're still, you know, working and the thought of retirement is just now getting into your head.
Yeah.
Any of those types of people are the type of people that we can help. It's never too early and it's never too late.
The ImpactTaxBill.com is a tax calculator that you've put together. Mm-hmm. You're helping people answer the question, am I tax efficient going into retirement with this?
It is, and this calculator is probably one of my favorite tools. That's why we've made it available to people, because people want to know what are my potential taxes going to look like in the future. So this calculator completely answers that question and gives them an idea of what type of taxes they're looking at, and then, you know, from there, if we want to get together and we need to sit down, we need to go over a plan, and we need to figure out how can we make this plan more efficient. And people ask me all the time, Summer, how do I know if my current plan is tax efficient? How do I know if my current portfolio is tax efficient? Well, right there, ImpactTaxBill.com. Go there, and that's how you'll figure it out.
Let Summer help you figure it out with all the questions that you may have with a complimentary Texas Wealth Report. We're grateful that you spend your time with us. It is important. You need to come in for an appointment and put together a wealth report that's actually going to work for you. So grateful that you spend time with us. Now spend a little time in the office. Spend a little time on yourself, on making sure that your retirement lasts. Call the number, scan the QR code. We'll see you there in the office. We'll make that retirement great for you, and then we'll see you right back here next time on the Texas Wealth Report.